So, hello everyone, we are the group 1 and now we're going to share about Beowulf, a young man, and how he defeat Grendel. So, let's start. So, Beowulf is an old English epic poem, and the author of Beowulf is not yet discovered. It's still unknown. So, here's the characters. So, the first character is Beowulf. So, Beowulf is a mighty Geat with superhuman powers, loyal, honor, brave, and he also believes in God. And the next is Hrothgar. Hrothgar is an excellent and successful king. He wrote a magnificent hall and builds love and loyalty through his generosity and wisdom. However, though once a great warrior, he can no longer defend his people from Grendel, and his sons are too young to take up leadership of the Danes. So, next is Grendel. So, Grendel is a descendant of Cain. So, according to the Bible, Cain was the originator of evil, greed, violence, and the first human born and the first murderer, because of killing his own brother Abel. And also, Grendel is described as a creature of darkness, exiled from happiness, and a curse of God, the destroyer and devourer of our humankind. So next is Hrothgar's lieutenant. So he was the one who escorted the Geats to the King Hrothgar. Next is the 14 Geats who accompanied Beowulf sailed across the sea until they met the land of King Hrothgar and talked to him about his desire to fight against Grendel.
The setting of the story is set at Heorot. It is a mid-hall and major point of focus in the Anglo-Saxon poem Beowulf. The hall is located in Denmark. It serves as a seat of royal king Hrothgar. He is a legendary Danish king. And the point of view is the narrator of Beowulf is one of those godlike narrators who sees everything and can skip around between different characters and between the past, present, and future.
So from the point of view of the story, let us now move on with the summary. The Danes celebrate the completion of Heorot with a feast at which Hrothgar's bard sings about the creation of the earth. But the monster Grendel, a descendant of Cain and therefore an outcast from society, hears the singing from his home in the swamp. This sound of community and merriment fill him with anger because he does not like that noise. That night, Grendel visits the Heorot as the Danes are sleeping. Grendel seizes 30 warriors and carries them to his den to kill and eat them. The next night, Grendel repeats his raid. After that, the Danes abandon Heorot to Grendel after nightfall. This situation continues for 12 years. So first of all, unsa dining mga Danes? So kani mga Danes are the northern Germanic tribe. So kaning mga Danes, they celebrate the completion of their Heorot. Ang Heorot is like their town hall where they gather to have a meeting, and also diri pod sila ga-rest and basically everything. So they were busy celebrating because what they have accomplished, because they have finally completed or constructed their Heorot. That night, there was a monster who was unhappy about it, and it was Grendel, and he was also referred as he is a descendant from Cain, and maybe this is a Bible reference, since the descendant of Cain are bad elements or bad people. And that night, nadunggan niya nga saba kaayo. There were people celebrating, and that infuriated him. So what Grendel did is that he sneaked out into the Harrod during night time nga tulog ang mga Danes. And from there, he attacked 30 men and carried them into his lair. So nagkuha siya 30 ka tao, dili kay parapat yun lang, but to also eat them. So that is very brutal, right? So after that night, it still happened because Grendel repeats his raid. But after that, knowing they were attacked by a monster named Grendel, the Danes decided to abandon their Harrod to Grendel after nightfall, because kinsa ra ba dili mahadlok ana nga naigapangaon og tao. And unfortunately, this situation continued for 12 years. Okay, after that, Beowulf hears tales of the destruction wrought by Grendel. He decides to travel to the land of the Danes and help Hrothgar defeat the demon. He voyages across the sea with 14 of his bravest warriors until he reaches Hrothgar's kingdom. Beowulf explains that he is the son of Ijitau and owns his loyalty to Hygelak. He says that he has heard about the monster terrorizing the Danes and has come to help Hrothgar. So right what happened about the Danes is that the news spread all over the land that there is a monster spreading chaos and destruction to the Danes. And suddenly, Beowulf heard about it. So what Beowulf did is that he traveled to the land of the Danes to aid Hrothgar and defeat the demon Grendel. So along with Beowulf is his bravest warriors. So right after pagkaabot ni Beowulf into the kingdom of Hrothgar, he explains that he is the son of Ijitau and he owns his loyalty to Hygelak. From that, nagpaila-ila sila, and he said that he traveled the lands to aid King Hrothgar and to defeat the demon named Grendel. So right after ito lang pagsabot-sabot, the king offered armors, but Beowulf chose to fight Grendel in hand-to-hand combat and said God must decide the victory. Then the battle has begun and Beowulf wrestles the demon into submission and eventually tears off his arm at the shoulder. Mortally wounded, Grendel flees into the wilderness and dies. Beowulf, Hrothgar, and their followers throw a wild party to celebrate. So right after their negotiations or planning on how to slay Grendel, King Hrothgar offered armors and weapons to Beowulf in order for him para ma-defeat niya si Grendel. But Beowulf declined the offer and chose to fight in hand-to-hand combat. So he is very brave, right? And then isa sa mga plans nga ilang nahuna-hunaan is to act as they were asleep so that Grendel would sneak out and slaughter them. So after that plan nga matulog sila, as if sila nga tulog, they were right, and because Grendel really did arrive to bring chaos na sad. So what Beowulf did is that he wrestles the demon, and from there kanang they fought against each other, and suddenly nag-grab ni Beowulf ang hand ni Grendel, which gibira ni Beowulf, and eventually nga naibot ang kamot ni Grendel. So judging from that, Beowulf must be very very strong, since he is capable of tearing off the hand of the demon Grendel. And from there, Grendel was mortally wounded. And yes, nakabuhi si Grendel and flees into the wilderness. Nagtago siya sa mga kakahuyan, gidagan siya because he is badly wounded. But eventually, namatay ra pod si Grendel because grabe pod kay siya kabunog, and maybe he lost too much blood because naibot ba yung isa kakamot. So after knowing na napatay na nila si Grendel, Beowulf, Hrothgar, and their followers throw a wild party to celebrate. So they were celebrating because after all the years they have spent hiding from Grendel, nasolusyonan na gyud because of Beowulf. So from there, busy na sila og celebrate. And little do they know na pa ba mga consequences or mga casualties pa mga moabot. So the answer to that question will be answered by group 2, since the second part of the story is to be discussed by group 2. So that is the summary of Beowulf parts 1, 2, 3. And the other parts will be discussed by group 2 in the next meeting. So right after the summary, let us now move on with the theme of the story to be discussed by Mr. Kirk Ungab.
So the theme of the heroic code of chivalry is the leading theme of Beowulf. Chivalry because it has the medieval knightly system with religious, moral, and social codes. The honorable behavior and manners have dominated the Anglo-Saxon culture. Anglo-Saxon because it includes the characteristics of bravery, truth, honor, loyalty, duty, hospitality, and perseverance, in which our protagonist Beowulf possesses. Courage, bravery, and the will to fight were considered basic norms of that heroic code. Beowulf sticks to these norms from the very beginning as he comes across the Danes.
So my reflection about the story is that we should always be brave and courageous, just like Beowulf, and always believe that in every problem there's a solution. So King Hrothgar felt hopeless about what happened to his warrior and because of Grendel, but in the end there's a solution, and we should always think that God will always there for us to help us whatever problems we're facing for, and believe that whatever happen, God is always there to protect us and find way to overcome those battles or problems in life.
And my reflection in this story is that we all have different battles in life, and all we have to do is stand firm in our faith and remain courageous in facing those.
So my reflection about this specific parts, which is the parts 1, 2, and 3 in the epic Beowulf, is that no matter what comes in our way, even though dili na to makita, like kalit lag abot ang problema, just like how Grendel attacks the people, it is like wala tay malay kung unsay padulong sa tuwa. We must be brave and it is not lame or it is fine to ask help from someone, because tanan man ta kapuyon and tanan ta kahadlok, and it is not bad nga mangayo tag help from other people. What's worse is that mas kinakahadlokan nimo imong kaugalingon rather than believing in yourself. We must be brave in order for us to conquer the challenges and the obstacles that we are facing, because no matter what comes in our way, and in the end you fought with it, makaingon ka, it will be worth it.
So in my short reflection, Beowulf's lesson is that it is preferable to die young, to die a hero full of valor and virtue, than to live a ripe old age cowardly and oblivious to your duties. Beowulf demonstrates bravery and tenacity by fighting Grendel's mother and the dragon Wiglaf to preserve the community. So for short, it is better to die a hero than to live long enough to see yourself become the villain.